By Memorial Day 2025, our country will be roaring back. We'll be well on our way to greatness like our country has never seen before.
Memorial Day is just around the corner. And how's it going so far? Are jobs booming? Is tourism thriving? How are those grocery and egg prices looking? All we've seen from the orange guy is isolation, instability, and international pushback. It's only been 4 months, but the damage is done. And for many Canadians like me, our view of the US has completely changed. Today's update focuses on Old Orchard Beach in Maine, where cross-border tourism has taken a real hit. And honestly, I don't feel bad. If these towns want help, maybe they should start with their president. If you find this content helpful, a like and subscribe helps us reach our goal of 5,000. Let's get into the updates.
Well, it's been a rough spring of Canadians canceling their Maine vacation plans. The governor is trying to win some of them back. The Seaside Inn in Kennebunk is one of the oldest inns in the country. Spring is when they're usually full of Canadian tourists.
And this year we had 2 families.
Summer is not looking any better.
We just feel sad that we're not going to see our friends this year.
For starters, Governor Mills has directed Maine DOT to put up 14 of these metal Bienvenue Canadian signs, most at the Canadian border and one now up at the entrance to Old Orchard Beach.
Just to reinforce the idea that Maine welcomes Canadian visitors, Canadian businesses, Canadian citizens.
The state is also giving out smaller Welcome Canadian signs to businesses in tourist areas like Dock Square to put in their windows.
Let me pause it here. It's clear they're trying hard to get Canadians to come back. But here's the question. Do they actually want us back as people, or do they just want our money? Something to think about.
And very excited to do what we can to help these businesses sustain the economy during some interesting and challenging times, given the tariffs that are affecting everything from our craft breweries to our hospitality industry. And I'm so proud to be here.
During a roundtable discussion with business leaders, the governor was surprised to learn why Canadians aren't coming to Maine. Pride.
Especially the French Canadians are very, very proud. And it's their honor that they said they couldn't come back.
Oh my God.
As a business owner, it hurts. As a person, I respect it.
Kirsten Wilcox owns an art studio in Lower Kennebunk.
When a big segment of that population that you depend on isn't coming, it can really hurt your bottom line.
Governor Mills says she also plans to meet with Canadian provincial premiers, both in Boston and in Canada, to try to improve relationships and convince Canadians to come back to Maine.
Yeah, no thanks. No matter what you say or do, we're not coming back. You miss our money, not our friendship. Let's move on to the next video.
The numbers are down a little this year, but we still have a lot of reservations from Canada.
The Quebec 3, which sits on the shore of Old Orchard Beach, is a popular destination for Canadian tourists. The general manager says some canceled their trips after the president announced tariffs against the country, but he's confident many will still come.
I think as the politics and the rhetoric subside and trade agreements get signed and things get a little more civil, I think you're going to see a lot of last-minute decisions by Canadians.
But the overall amount of travel from Canada to Maine is dropping. U.S. Customs and Border Protection data shows this April 78,000 fewer people crossed into Maine's northern border compared to last year, and tourism leaders worry the downturn in spring traffic is a red flag.
It's hard to, say how that's going to translate into the summer, but it's certainly an early indication that is alarming.
Of course, not everyone that crosses the border is a tourist. In March, the I-Team traveled to Maine's northern border and found daily trips crossing the border for things like groceries or gas were on the decline. Plus, some contracts between New Brunswick and Maine had been canceled. All of that border traffic slowdown is likely to have an impact on Maine's economy. It's why Governor Mills continues to nurture the partnership between Maine and our northern neighbors.
Talking to Canadian citizens and Canadian premiers, they don't want these tariffs. They want nothing to do with these tariffs. They're disastrous and damaging to both our economies. The Canadians, they're our friends, and we want to keep them as friends and economic allies.
Just a week and a half away from Memorial Day, but some new numbers are suggesting fewer visitors may visit Maine from Canada come this summer.
Border crossing data for April shows a significant drop in traffic crossing the northern border from last year. Jacob Murphy joining us live from Kennebunkport and has been speaking with businesses. So Jacob, have they been feeling an impact from this?
Well, Megan and John, it really depends on who you ask. Out of everyone I spoke today, it was almost completely split down the middle of people who have noticed a difference and who haven't.
At this time of the year, I would say I'd get a tenth of the people that come in here are Canadians, maybe even 15%. Now, I've had, since April 1st, 2 people from Canada come in.
Denora Spalding has owned Shoot the Moon Gallery for more than 30 years. She says she usually gets a lot of customers from Canada this time of year that are trying to beat the summer crowds. But this year has been very different.
And I don't think all that publicity about tariffs has done us any good.
Yeah, the tariffs were frustrating, but it's the 51st state rhetoric and annexation threats that really crossed the line. American citizens aren't taking it seriously and keep blaming tariffs. Imagine if Canada said we were going to annex the US. They'd lose it. But somehow, it's fine when their president says it and no one blinks.
Whether it's been resolved or not, I'm not sure, but still the publicity has made it just scary for people to spend money.
Numbers from U.S. Customs and Border Protection supports that. The agency reports on the number of cars that come into the state via the northern border. And in April of 2024, about 125,000 cars came into the state.
These numbers genuinely make me smile. Just under 46,000 fewer cars crossed the border. And even if each one only spent $500, that's over $23 million not going into the U.S. economy. So if anyone thinks this boycott isn't working, they're kidding themselves. And let's be honest, most Canadians spend way more than $500. I was being generous.
Compare that number to this April, only about 80,000 came. About a 36% decrease in 1 year. If you look back at the last couple of months, the drop started in February. But this hasn't been everyone's experience.
There's tons of surfers that are down here. They take up the whole beach. So they're definitely going to be here.
Brad Mosshart is also a longtime Kennebunk business owner. He runs F8 Photography Studio just down the road on Spring Street. He says he has lots of clients that are Canadian, and he's heard from plenty that they will continue to come.
It's just kind of a little bit, there's a hype out there, but I don't think it's going to really matter.
This right here is American arrogance in full view. It is not just hype anymore. It's a movement. Some guy claims a few Canadians told him they'll be back. Great. But that does not speak for 40 million of us. I'm tired of hearing, I know Canadians who still support the US. You do not know 40 million people. Honestly, hearing this just makes the boycott feel even more justified.
The Canadian boycott of U.S. travel deepened in April, with car travel down 35% and air travel declining 20% year over year. This intensified boycott could cost the U.S. economy $7.4 billion this year. The number of Canadians taking road trips into the U.S., representing the majority of Canadians who visit, dropped by 35% last month compared to April of 2024, according to new data from Statistics Canada. There was also a 20% decline in air travelers from Canada over the same period. The call to avoid traveling to the U.S. began in early February after President Donald Trump announced tariffs were coming and began referring to Canada as, quote, the 51st state. The U.S. Travel Association warned that even a 10% reduction in Canadian inbound tourism could translate to $2.1 billion in lost spending and 140,000 jobs jeopardized in the hospitality and related sectors. Following back-to-back years of strong growth in inbound tourism, the U.S. is seeing a precipitous drop in international visitors so far in 2025. Canadians comprise the single largest cohort of foreign inbound tourists to the U.S., accounting for about a quarter of all foreign visitors, according to the U.S. National Travel and Tourism Office.
So there it is. Canadians are not just a blip in the U.S. tourism economy, and this boycott is far from hype. After seeing the reports and putting this video together, I'm more committed than ever to staying the course. And that guy calling it hype, that honestly pushed me even further. If you found this video worthwhile, A like and subscribe helps the channel grow. Leave a comment and let us know what you think about today's video. We'll see you in the next one.